Cameroon's governing party is now 37 years old. The Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, known as the CPDM, created in the year 1985 on the 24th of March in Bamenda, has turned out to be Cameroon's most dominant political force, winning majority of parliamentary seats as well as council seats in Cameroon. The party's national president, who is also the head of state, has never lost a presidential elections. However, celebrations for the 37th anniversary this time is marked by a thorny context, marked by socio-political tensions like the Anglophone crisis, inflation, corruption, and difficult standards of living of Cameroonians. Can the CPDM survive the current challenges and stand the test of time? That's what we are looking on in depth. My guest is a former minister in Cameroon, university lecturer as well as political scientist. He was first of all Minister of Special Duties at the presidency, and later he was appointed as Minister of Forestry and Wildlife. On the political front, he has been a staunch member of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement since the 1990s and led the party throughout elections in his constituency. He has also been defending the party against opposition political parties during post-electoral elections. He is a graduate of Harvard University, and right now he is the national director of the CPDM Academy, a strategic arm of the party which imbibes the party's philosophy to those who are joining the party for the first time, and perhaps those who have been there and need some recycling. Join me to welcome Professor Elvis Ngolle Ngolle, the National Director of the CPDM Academy. Professor Elvis Ngolle Ngolle, welcome to In Depth, and thank you for talking to us on Dash News.
Thank you, Peter. It's always a great pleasure to be with you on your prestigious platform, and I think that is an opportunity to share with your millions of televiewers.
All right, sir. The CPDM, your party, turns out 37 years today. What will you say is the state of the CPDM right now?
I think the state of the CPDM, based on records, based on observable numbers, is positive and in good shape. It's solid, and it's all ready to take on any future competitions, because when you have a party which has just ended just a few months ago operations of the basic renewal of its basic organs, and it was successful at that, having injected new people, new blood, new leadership with new ideas. When you have a party which has succeeded to win all the elections in 37 years, and it's become the party of responsibility, the majority party, and the party that has distinguished itself among 330 political parties, then you have to say that on the occasion of the celebrations of its 37th anniversary, the party is in good shape. The party is on a solid ground, and there is certainty, clarity, and the party is quite conscious and sure where it is going to.
Okay, Prof, the 37th anniversary of the party, which has been observed, is calling on the militants to mobilize behind the national president, who is also the head of state, President Paul Biya, to enable the president, satisfy the aspirations of not only CPDM militants, but Cameroonians. Can you a bit highlight on this particular theme for this year? Just try to break it into perspective for our viewers.
Yes, as you know, the theme for this year, as decided by the Secretary General of the Central Committee in the circular he signed on the 15th of March, is let us mobilize more behind the national president, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya, in order to ensure the specificity of our country in the relentless peace building, unity, solidarity, and progress in the Cameroon nation, resolutely turned towards shared emergence. When you look at that theme, of course, the Secretary General decided on that theme in his managerial look at things and considerations, and in his political and ideological consideration. What you see about that theme is that the context in which we celebrate the 37th anniversary is a context in which, one, there are some challenges. For example, the health challenges of COVID-19. Those challenges are there. The socio-political and security crisis in the north and southwest is still hanging around. The Boko Haram in the extreme north is still hanging around, and most recently, the political crisis between Russia and Ukraine is a crisis which is affecting the whole world. Now, normally the rule of the game is that when a sovereign country such as ours in Cameroon is facing problems that are both internal and external, it is only logical and rational that the living forces, be they NGOs or civil society groups or political parties, should all join forces and rally behind the sovereign leader, in our case, the President of the Republic and head of state, in order that he can be able to find solutions to the problem so that they don't affect the population, they don't affect the country. That is almost a rule of thumb. And so the Secretary General has chosen this theme, knowing that this is the context in which we are celebrating the 37th anniversary of our party. But at the same time, the Secretary General is conscious that the party has just gone through a successful renewal of the basic organs operations, an exercise which was very, very successful and which has injected new blood and new leaders and new people into the party. The party has just experienced a very successful AFCON, whereby the whole of Africa came to Cameroon, and Cameroon was able to organize that AFCON in the most smashing and in the most convincing and the most successful manner. When you look at this, you see that the Secretary General is right in choosing that theme, because the rule of thumb, logic will demand, even common sense will demand, that all the living forces of the country should join hands and support the president, so that he, who is the elected leader, sovereign leader, will be able to have the backing of the sovereign peoples who constitute his electorate and his support base, so that he can comfortably find solutions for the good of everybody.
Prof, some critics, however, think different, because according to them, there's no need to call for mobilization behind the president of the country, who is also head of the CPDM, due to the fact that he was given the mandate during the presidential elections. They, however, believe that the call by the CPDM is a desperate move, and it's also, a tacit declaration that some members of the CPDM are not really pleased with the state of things at this moment, and the call just comes in a way to try to get them back. What answer do you have for those with those school of thought?
Those who say that are those who don't want to admit, out of bad faith, or maybe out of jealousy of some sort, or maybe just sheer ignorance. Those who make that case do not want to admit and do not want to accept that the CPDM is the leading party, and that the CPDM is the majority party, and that the CPDM's national president is the president of the republic and head of state. It's only normal that his party, the party that he's leading, which is the leading party in Cameroon, should make an appeal. Don't forget that it's an appeal. It is not like a law or a decree. It's an appeal, and when you make an appeal, you appeal to the consciences. You appeal to the good senses. You appeal to the common sense of those, of your militants and of your sympathizers. So there's nothing desperate about that appeal, and there's nothing desperate about the choice of that theme. It's only commonsensical, it's only rational and logical that a leading party which is sure of itself, which has distinguished itself, which has won every election since for 37 years, should make an appeal. It's simply a Republican appeal. It is simply a democratic appeal. There's nothing desperate about it. Why would the CPDM be desperate? The other parties which have never won an election should be the ones to be desperate. There's no reason for the CPDM to be desperate because the CPDM is in a solid position. The CPDM is on solid ground. The CPDM is doing what every political party has to do. That is, achieve political power and ensure that you preserve that power. The CPDM has done that for 37 years. Why should it now get desperate all of a sudden? Right, because the record is successful. Nobody gets desperate when you're successful. Nobody gets desperate when you feel comfortable and you are strong as the CPDM is. So there's nothing desperate about the choice of that thing, and there's nothing desperate about making that appeal. It is only normal that on the occasion of a celebration and anniversary, the Secretary General is making an appeal to the militants, and that appeal is that we should not forget, we should all understand that it's commonsensical, it's logical, it's within the values of our party, is within the doctrine of our party to put our hands behind our national president and the head of state and president of the republic to make sure that as he's solving the problems which are external and internal, which are exogenous and endogenous, he knows that his militants are behind him. He knows that the sympathizers of his party are behind him, and there's nothing at stake because they have already given him a mandate. He has a full mandate given to him by the militant and the people of Cameroon to be our president of the republic and our head of state, and there's no complex about that. So there's no desperation in that.
All right, Prof. Now, you just mentioned a moment ago that the CPDM is waxing strong, talking about the temperature of the party. But we all know that for the past 37 years, the CPDM has come under enormous criticisms for the policies that have been meted out by the national president, who is President Paul Biya, the head of state. Currently, the country is being gripped by tensions here and there, corporate tensions from teachers. We have the Anglophone crisis in the northwest and southwest regions, which is yet to be resolved. We also have inflation, which has gotten to disturbing levels now with the increase in the cost of basic commodities. The latest of it is bread and soon to be beer. Cameroonians, vast majority of them also complain that they don't have access to potable drinking water, neither provision of electricity, whereas these are some of the issues which the national president of the party told militants and Cameroonians when he was soliciting the votes in 2018 that he will provide for them. What reason does the CPDM have to celebrate in the midst of all these prevailing realities?
Yeah, first, what I'll say is that what you've just listed, mentioned, are challenges that exist and that come up in every society, be it a political society, be it a sovereign nation, be it whatever. These are normal and ordinary challenges and difficulties that every society, every nation, every country, every state faces at one time, at one point or the other. So Cameroon is not an exception. But what is important is that the people of Cameroon in general, who are the voters, who are those who decide the future and the leadership of this country, are conscious and aware of this problem. The militants of the CPDM party, the party that the president is, for which he is the national president, they are conscious of these problems you've just listed. What is important is that in 2018, they gave him their mandate, and that mandate is a 7-year mandate. He still has about
Three
That
more years
mandate
to
is in
go.
course,
Yeah.
on course. So there's no, he has to leave the full mandate because the people gave him that mandate. And he is using his managerial skills, his managerial knowledge, and his political skills and leadership qualities, which he does have, and his vision, which nobody doubts, to make sure that these problems are solved. In other words, whenever and wherever there are problems in any given society, the leader, obviously, people look up to the leader. And the leader is not a leader who arrogates to himself. It's a leader who has been put there by the sovereign will of the people in a democratic manner. And in our case in Cameroon, this is what obtains the president of the republic, who is also the national president of the leading party, the majority party, the party in power, the CPDM, has been given a full mandate, not only by the voters, the people of Cameroon, but by his militants. That mandate began in 2018 and is going to go on till, for 7 years, it's going to go on till 2025. So he is on a full mandate, and the people have no doubt that he has the political skills, the leadership skills, the managerial skills, because he beat 8 or 9 other political parties to get this mandate. So it is not by accident that he is the one who is there. The people of Cameroon, and in particular, the militants of the CPDM, have confidence in him, have trust in his leadership, and they know that he has what it takes. After all, he's done it for 37 years, and this time around will be no exception. He will do it again because he is a leader who has proven that he is the one that Cameroon needs now. And for this mandate, because we are all Democrats and Republicans at the same time, let us go along with the will, the manifest and democratic will of the people of Cameroon in general, and the militants of the CPDM in particular. They have given that will. No one can change that will, because in a democracy, and particularly in a republic, no one can change it except the people. And the people change it when the law and the constitution require that should be the case. So for now, we have every confidence as militants in our national president and the president of the republic. And as we celebrate our 37th anniversary, the Secretary General is reiterating this appeal that we shouldn't lose sight, and we shouldn't forget, and we shouldn't ignore of the common sense, the logic, the rationality, for us to put our hands on deck, because look, we're all human beings. And the fact that we're militants does not make us superhuman beings. Sure, the Secretary General sees the need. He knows why he chose this. And I agree with him, because there's a rationale, there is a logic, there is common sense in that choice. Because when any society is facing exogenous and endogenous difficulties or challenges, it's only logical and commonsensical that all the living forces stand behind him in order that he can be able to have the full assurance that his people are with him, and that way he will be able to pursue solutions to the problems, and he will be sure that when he gets the solution will be satisfactory to his people.
All right, sir. You just mentioned about the legitimacy, which you have spelled out broadly. But now, what should the CPDM be celebrating when Cameroon is rocked by these challenges? Like I mentioned earlier, we have the socio-political crisis in the northwest and southwest regions. We have inflation, we have corruption, with some people even saying that there's an entire government in jail. We also have corporate demands that are gradually morphing into protests, with what we are seeing with the teachers and to another extent the doctors, inflation with the cost of basic commodities. What should the CPDM be celebrating at 37 in the midst of all these challenges?
As you know, it's important for our televiewers for me to respond to your question. It is important for us to inform or maybe educate our televiewers that every political party has the reason for its existence, meaning every political party has a raison d'etre. And the raison d'etre of all political parties, and we have 330 of them, by the way, the raison d'etre is the same. The raison d'etre of every and any political party is first to be able to achieve power. And when you achieve that power, use your skills and everything and your strategies to be able to maintain it. The CPDM, on that score alone, has every reason to celebrate because the CPDM has satisfied the very objective, the very purpose of its existence. It's very redundant. It has won it has won power, and it has kept that power for 37 years. So for that reason alone, the CPDM has every reason to celebrate in its anniversary. But there's another reason, or there are other reasons. One other reason is that, as you know, as the leading party in Cameroon and the majority party, the CPDM has given itself the responsibility, the democratic and republican responsibility. It's even a logical responsibility for it to support the head of state, the president of the republic, who is their national president and their national champion. This is logical, rational, commonsensical. This is what the CPDM has as a vocation, as a responsibility, and is doing it without any complex or without any reservations. And in doing that, or by doing that, the CPDM is satisfied that the head of state is still strong on his seat as president of the republic. Therefore, the state is up and strong and solid, and the state is doing the job that every state has to do. That is to say, ensure the territorial integrity of the state, of the country, ensure the welfare of the people and their security, and ensure that the institutions work. The institutions are working. The laws are working. The state is up and strong. And there is no reason for the CPDM to be discouraged or to give up simply because you have difficulties, let's say in the northwest and southwest, or because you have the difficulties you've mentioned, Boko Haram, or you mentioned corruption, you mentioned all these things. These issues or these problems are normal problems which prevail in almost every country you can mention, in almost every state. But what is important is that every state gives itself the leader that they estimate that within a particular period will be able to solve these problems. And there is no country which has an exception. It's rare. If you give me one country that has an exception, I will be glad to discuss that country with you. But the important thing is that for Cameroon, the people of Cameroon and the militants of the CPDM in particular have given their full will and support to the president of the republic, and they have his trust. They know that he has what it takes politically to solve the problems. They know that he has what it takes managerially to solve the problem, and they know that he is a Republican, he is a Democrat, and he is open enough, and he is intellectually sound enough, and that he has a record of success in solving problems, and that is why he's there for 37 years that the CPDM has existed. We have no reason to think otherwise or to think twice, because we are sure of our choice. He is the people's choice. He is the choice of the Republic, and the Republic is at ease with him. And the Secretary General, in issuing the circular and choosing that thing, it's a Republican reminder. It's a democratic reminder or appeal to a free people, a sovereign people, and militant, because don't forget that there's freedom in the CPDM. And the Secretary General does not, the Secretary General does not take it for granted that the militants know it all. So he's using his managerial and political position to inform and to remind and to appeal to his militants that while we celebrate, we shouldn't ignore or forget that we have to be able to celebrate by putting our hands behind and all our efforts behind our national president, who is the president of the republic and head of state. It's a normal. I think I agree with the Secretary General on the choice of that thing, and it makes sense. It makes common sense, and to me, it is logical and politically correct. Right?
Professor Elvis Ngolle Ngolle, we have this other question for you. Some critics, particularly opposition leaders over the years, have faulted the CPDM for instituting a form of dictatorship within the party, whereas the CPDM has always claimed that it was through the party that democracy came to Cameroon. In fact, the CPDM has always taken the credit for having brought democracy to Cameroon. But with everything that you say that the party has been able to achieve, don't you think that it's instead due to the fact that there is no dichotomy between the party, which is the CPDM, and the state of Cameroon? They are almost linked in almost every aspect.
No, there is a clear dichotomy between the state and the CPDM party, because those opposition leaders or maybe members of the opposition who make such allegations and such criticisms are simply engaging in what you call the politics of bad faith, or the politics of grandstanding, or playing to the gallery, or maybe it's just political adventure, or maybe they're simply playing games, or being mischievous. Because the fact is this, the truth is this: the CPDM party is an association of citizens of Cameroon who have decided, because they have like minds, they abide by the same ideology and values, and they have the same approach and the same vision. They have decided to band together and form a political party under the law and the constitution, just like the other political parties. And they've decided that in that capacity, they will compete in a democratic manner with the other political parties, and they will put their own national president as their candidate for the elections to the office of the President of the Republic, and other candidates for the election to other offices. This is the name of, this is what democracy in Cameroon is, and what multipartism in Cameroon is. And in that game of, or in that equation, that democratic equation, the state is the supreme structure to which everybody owes respect, and everybody, no matter who you are, whether you are a political party in power, such as the CPDM, whether you are a majority party and the leading party, such as the CPDM, or whether you are an opposition party, meaning a minority party, everybody obeys the state, because the state is supreme relative to political parties, no matter what the political party is, and no matter the position of the political party. That is why the basic text of the CPDM, those opposition people keep on making these criticisms as if they don't realize that we are in a republic, and that republic has a constitution, and that constitution is both democratic and republican. And that constitution is clear. The political party is an association, but the state is the collective will of all the people, no matter what their political party is. And the state is the supreme structure. It is supreme to all other groups, be they political parties or be they civil society groups. The state is supreme. And that is why in the basic texts, which include the constitution of the CPDM party as an association recognizes the supremacy of the state. And the CPDM party recognizes and has sworn to respecting the state, because the state is supreme. And so, because the CPDM party is the leading party and is a party that is close to power or is in power, the tendency for those who have not won, particularly those in the opposition, is to, out of jealousy or bad faith or out of denial, is for them to say that, oh, because the CPDM is closer to the state and it has power, therefore the CPDM is the state. I mean, by doing that, they are being defeatist, first of all, and they are being insensitive to our constitution. They are being insensitive to the constitution of the CPDM, and they are being insensitive to their commitment to democracy in Cameroon. Democracy in Cameroon that we have under the constitution, which is a Republican constitution, does not demand that the state should be a state party, because the CPDM is not a state party. There is no state party in Cameroon. The constitution of Cameroon does not provide for a state party. The constitution of the CPDM does not make the CPDM a state party. The constitution of the CPDM makes the CPDM an association, which is there to compete with other associations, call them political parties or whatever. And that, as the laws say, the laws which are democratic, he who wins the election because he has the majority becomes the closest to the state and puts its members to run the state apparatus. But that does not mean that the party, because its militants are running the state apparatus, becomes a state. No, there is no state party in Cameroon, and the CPDM is not one. Anyone who makes that criticism keeps on forgetting that they are being even contrary to their own commitment to democracy, and that they are misrepresenting the CPDM, and they are ignoring the very constitution of Cameroon and the constitution of the CPDM. They cannot be state parties in a multi-partyism. How can you have a constitution which provides for multi-partyism and then you begin to claim that there is a state party? No state parties exist in a multi-party democracy. None. And Cameroon is no exception. So those political parties in the opposition who make this criticism should at least go back to their common sense and go back to their good sense and go back to their good faith and their good conscience and know that you can say many things in politics, but don't make yourself look ridiculous or make yourself look just because you want to play to the gallery or you want to play mischief or you want to misinform or disinform. There are no state parties in a multi-party democracy, and Cameroon is no exception. And so the CPDM is not a state party. But the CPDM is a party in power, the party close to power, meaning state power. When I say power, state power. The state is the state, and the state is supreme in Cameroon. And the CPDM, as an association, which won the election, has the privilege, has the right to be that closest to the state, and to be able to provide the men and women who can run the state. And that is what obtains in every multi-party democracy, whether it's France or Britain or America or Germany, it's the same thing. Cameroon is no exception. We are not reinventing the wheel. We are doing what has been done by all democracies for centuries and centuries. We might have a specificity, but the general rule is the same. So the idea of state parties, I think we should knock it off, and people should stop misinforming or disinforming the public, because there's no such thing. Once you believe in such a thing, it means you don't believe in multi-party. It means you don't believe in democracy. What is the point? There is no dictatorship in a multi-party system. There is no dictatorship in a Republican democratic constitution. There is none. The word dictatorship doesn't prevail, because every so often there are elections, and during the elections or before the election, there is free competition, and the laws say that in that competition there will be a winner. And when there's a winner, everyone should recognize the winner, everyone should respect the winner, and everyone should give the winner a chance to govern, as the CPDM has had for 37 years, until in a free competition that equation changes. But that's the way it is, but that is not a dictatorship. You can use the word dominant, but why not? Dominance is an English word, it's not a Cameroonian word. Dominance simply means that in an equation, you have dominated the others because your numbers, you prevail in your numbers, or your numbers are overwhelming relative to the numbers of the others. But it doesn't mean that dominance is a dictatorship. Dictatorship don't occur in a democracy, especially in a multi-party democracy such as Cameroon. Therefore, you cannot use or make claim, or no one can make claim to dictatorship in Cameroon unless someone is of bad faith, or someone wants to play to the gallery, or just want to do mischief. And that is, we see that all over the place. There's a lot of mischief, there's a lot of bad faith, there's a lot of playing to the gallery, there's a lot of folklore, and there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation. But again, look, we're in a democracy. Those who choose to be in error, willfully or voluntarily, will reap the fruits of their errors, because as the English saying goes, as you make your bed, so shall you lie on it.
Okay, Prof. Now, let's take this question concerning the national chairman, the head of state himself, President Paul Biya, who has been the chairman of the party for 37 years. That's as much as the CPDM has existed. And some critics believe that it's not a true reflection of democracy. Now, my question points to the issue of party discipline. You mentioned that the head of state has always been chosen by the people. The people love him and they are ready to move with him according to his policy. But where does party discipline come in, where we have sometimes circular from top party officials indicating the direction which militants have to take?
You know, every party has its internal rules. Every party has its own structural organization and its own structural functioning. Every party, in fact, even every organization, even non-governmental organizations of civil society, operate in the same way. The CPDM is no exception. You know, every party, every institution, every organization has internal rules. And among the internal rules are discipline, commitment to the doctrine, commitment to the principles and the ideologies, commitment to the values. Every organization goes by this, even churches. As you know, churches have their doctrines, churches have their rules. So it doesn't mean that because we are free and because we are in a democracy, you just behave anyhow. Democracy is not a game of animals or a game of a game of the streets. Democracy is not played in the streets. Democracy is a calculated, rational process of competition among several actors or several organizations or parties or groups. And the rules, under the rules either of the Constitution or of elections, one of those groups will always stand out and win the majority. This is the case with the CPDM. Now, in its internal structural organization and functioning, of course, the rules operate and the rules abide. But every political party does this. And out of the 330 political parties in Cameroon, all of them do the same thing. There is no exception. If any of them tells you they don't have internal rules, they are not being of good faith. They're not being honest with us. And we need to be honest with the public. We need to be honest actors. The honesty demands that we say the truth. Every party, every organization, by a dint of its internal rules, functions in a way in conformity with its values, with its doctrine, with its ethics, with its principles, and so forth and so on. And the CPDM does this just like all other political parties. But I tell you this, what I know about the CPDM, because I've been with the CPDM, I mean, both on the academic side, on the intellectual side, and on the operational side, because as you know, I'm not just a member of Central Committee, I am the head of the CPDM Academy. I've headed the campaign in my division for many years, and I continue to be the permanent head of the permanent divisional delegation of the party in my division for many, many years. I know exactly during elections, I've been to almost every village and I've campaigned and with just about everybody. They tell you what they think. There is freedom in the CPDM. And people disagree, people obey, people give their opinion, but at the end of the day, we all remain CPDM militant. At the end of the day, we all commit ourselves to the doctrine, to the ideologies, to the values of the CPDM. That's the strength of the CPDM. I tell you, people have often asked the question, what makes the CPDM, in spite of all the challenges, what makes it stand out? I've always given 5 reasons why the CPDM has always stood out compared to the other political parties and has always won. One of them is that the CPDM militants believe in the values, in the principles of the CPDM. The values of the CPDM are inclusion, humanism, justice, liberalism, modernism. The CPDM militants believe in these values. Second, the CPDM leadership is a leadership which is not absolute. The leadership, starting from the national president himself, we know his political philosophy, we know his vision. He is not an absolute leader. He believes in shared leadership. He believes in dispersed leadership, which is the best form of leadership. He believes in transformative leadership. So in the CPDM, even the president of a cell is a leader. The president of a branch is a leader. The president of a subsection is a leader. The president of a section is a leader. In fact, everybody in the CPDM is considered to be a leader in his or her own right. So we believe in that sort of leadership. The third factor is that the CPDM has an sort of messaging and strategizing. The CPDM in its communication, in its strategizing, in its messaging, always is very adaptive. And because it is adaptive, the CPDM is the friend of everybody. The CPDM is the neighbor of everybody. The CPDM does not have enemies because in its communication, in its strategizing, they're very innovative and they're very adaptive. Fourth, the CPDM militants are very engaging. They are very engaging militants, meaning when I say engaging, they know what their rights are. They know what their obligations are. The CPDM militants never fail to contribute ideas. The CPDM militants never fail to carry out party activities. The CPDM militants never fail to be available. The CPDM militants never fail to register in the voters' registers. The CPDM militants never fail to go to the ballot box and put their ballots in the ballot boxes. The CPDM militants never fail to make sure that they protect that ballot. They are there until the vote is counted and until the results are pronounced or declared. And finally, the CPDM militants are people who respect the institution. They respect the laws. They respect the people who incarnate these institutions. This is what makes them politically correct always. And this is what makes them people who you love to be around with, even if you don't agree with them. That is why, you know, we have no enemies. We are very courteous with everybody. We are very polite with everybody. We make sure that we respect everybody and we respect the institutions and those who incarnate those institutions. The CPDM is not an insurrectional party. The CPDM is the most politically correct party, if not one of the most. I can tell you, I don't want to sound as if I'm egoistic, but the CPDM stands out as one of the most politically correct political parties in terms of the respect. We respect everything. We even respect our adversaries. We respect our adversaries, our competitors. We don't have hard words, you know, and because we have a national president who is a national president whose political vision and political philosophy is one of tolerance, moderation, humanism, consultation, and you know, our leader is a humanist. And that humanism, you see it in the CPDM party. That is the strength of the CPDM party. The strength of the CPDM party comes from the fact that all the militants, no matter what level you are, they share these 5 factors I just mentioned. And at every time, you always see that the CPDM will come on top because the CPDM is everywhere and anywhere. And anywhere where the CPDM is a good neighbor. Anywhere where the CPDM is a good friend. Even if that neighbor or that friend may not be even a militant of the CPDM. As far as we know, we live in a Cameroon of concord. We live in a Cameroon of living together. We live in a Cameroon of social cohesion. And as far as we know, we don't live with strangers amongst us. We are all together in this same boat, in this same common house that we call Cameroon, the Republic of Cameroon. That is what the CPDM upholds, and that's why the CPDM supports the state and the Republic to make sure that it succeeds.
Okay, now this last question before we go, Prof. Over the years, there has been so much talk about succession, not only at the presidency of Cameroon, but also within the CPDM. The CPDM is 37 years old. The party chairman as well is 37 years old. And for some observers, they say that looking at some of the heated tensions that have rocked the party in recent times, particularly with the recent reorganization of the party, some of them are saying that the party may not live beyond the current national chairman. Do you share the same view? If no, why?
No, I don't share the same view, and I'll tell you why I don't share the same view. Because that view, those who share that view don't know the CPDM, and those who share that view, they fail to understand that the CPDM is on top. The CPDM is the most successful party, and it's not successful because the CPDM went to Marabout. We don't go to Marabout. The CPDM is successful because of its militants and because of its values, and its strategies and its communication. And you see, when somebody is successful, people should give them credit. And the fact that you have in the last renewal exercises of the basic organs, you had some militants who, let's say, were deviant or they misbehaved, does not make the CPDM party a failure. The CPDM party is not a failure. Failure is not in the vocabulary of the CPDM. The CPDM knows only success because the CPDM was not created to fail. Any political party that is created to fail is too bad. That's a miss. It's unfortunate. The CPDM was created 37 years ago to succeed, and it is on it's a success story. And on that basis, it is good for people to understand exactly what the CPDM is. Look, the CPDM is not an individual. The CPDM is not the leader. The CPDM is not a rich man or a poor man. The CPDM is all the people. Don't forget what the party is. The party is a party of rassemblement. It's a rallying movement of all the people of Cameroon, whether you are short or tall, whether you are insane or sane, whether you are rich or poor, the CPDM, has open arms. The door of the CPDM is open to all Cameroonians. Therefore, as a political party, the CPDM is our soul. The CPDM is our conscience. The CPDM is our hope. The CPDM is in our dreams. So, as long as the party is all this to us, the CPDM will always be there. especially knowing that the seat on which the CPDM is sitting is the seat of success. So we all come and go. People all will come and go, but the CPDM will remain, because the CPDM as a political party is not an individual's. The CPDM is the property, is the patrimony of all the militants of the CPDM and its sympathizers, by the way. And the CPDM, because it is a Republican and Democratic Party, because it's a party of the masses, the CPDM is open to every Cameroonian who is willing to join in this movement of bringing about progress, prosperity, peace, and unity of Cameroon.
All right, but Prof,
and justice in Cameroon.
But
This
Prof,
is what
that
we're all
brings me
about.
to one
We
question.
are all forces
Prof,
and agents of progress, and we join our national president to make sure that he brings this about in his capacity as president of the Republic and head of state.
all right, Prof, does the party has a succession plan for now? Just this last question.
For now, okay, for now, as far as the party is concerned, the party knows that its national president, who by our constitution and text is in any election and in every presidential election, is the candidate, the statutory, we use the word natural, is the logical and statutory candidate. Our national president has a mandate, has been given a mandate by the people of Cameroon, not even only by the CPDM. And that mandate is a 7-year mandate, which began in 2018. It will go till 2025. And as long as we're in the course of the mandate, there's no reason to even talk about, nor to even think about a succession plan, because we are still, the CPDM party is still enjoying the fact that its national president is in a full mandate, and the mandate is a good mandate. Yes, there are difficulties here and there or challenges, but the mandate does not get wiped off. It's a democratic mandate, it's a Republican mandate, and the mandate is on. Anybody who stops it will be stopping it against democratic rules or against democratic norms. The mandate is on. Therefore, why talk about that's not on the agenda? As far as I know, maybe some other persons think, but as far as I know, I have never heard in any meeting where I've been where this is talked about, because this is a non-issue. In fact, we say this is as it say in French, it's an issue sans objet, because hey, we have a mandate, Prof, and it's a Republican and Democratic mandate. That mandate is only 2 years old, by the way.
All right, Prof.
Don't forget. Yes. No. That mandate is what, 4 years old?
All right, Prof.
It's 4 years old. We still have about 3 years plus to go to that mandate. Hey.
All right, thank you.
We should believe in the mandate, and we should enjoy the mandate. And by the time the mandate is over, we as an organization, as an association, as a party, will normally, as militants, come together and put our minds together, strategize together as to what to do. But for now,
thank you very much, Prof.
Why talk about what is not on the agenda?
All right. Thank you very much, Professor Elvis Ngolle Ngolle. It was a massive pleasure talking to you.
It's a great pleasure. It's always been a great pleasure talking with you, and we hope that our televiewers will be enriched by this conversation. We all get enriched by this. After all, nobody has all the answers. Our job is to build our country. Our job is to ensure that there's stability, there's unity, and there's national concord, and democracy or no democracy. But I prefer democracy. We shall always be together, and we shall always live together, because that is the Cameroon that our founding fathers bequeathed to us, and the president is upholding that legacy. We must support the president to make sure that the legacy of our founding fathers is upheld by our generation.
All right, thank you very much, Prof. And to you, televiewers, it was a pleasure being with you on this edition of In Depth. Until next time, keep watching Dash News. Remember, we are the voice of Africa. Bye-bye.